This week's episode is special. Unlike most of the episodes on the animated show, this one has been written by an actual Star Trek writer, Mr. David Gerrold. It's also a direct sequel to one of his TOS scripts, The Trouble with Tribbles. If you haven't seen that episode, I recommend you watching it. It's one of the best episodes of the original series. It was also one of the most popular episodes of the original show, which is why Gene Roddenberry asked David Gerrold to write a sequel to the episode for season 3. David wrote a story treatment, but when he wanted to write a proper script during the third season, Roddenberry wasn't the showrunner anymore, and the new showrunner simply said that Gerrold, Star Trek is not a comedy, effectively killing it. When DC Fontana, the story editor of both the original show and the animated show, started to collect scripts for the cartoon, she immediately wanted to revisit the abandoned sequel. Gerrold simplified the story to be more suitable for a 20 minutes long Saturday morning cartoon. When the episode was produced, he got a visit in Filmation from some kids who wanted a tour. As soon as one of the guys realized that this is the writer of the Tribbles episode, he immediately told him that he should do a sequel. Gerrold told him that they actually are working on a sequel, but the kid didn't listen to him. Instead of it, he started to tell him his own vision of the sequel. Gerrold again tried to explain to him that they are indeed working on a sequel, but again, the guy didn't listen. Instead, after the episode was aired, the guy actually wanted to sue them, thinking that Filmation and Gerrold stole his idea. Thankfully, the lawyers handled it, so we can now safely watch the story. I have one problem with this episode. It recycles way too many elements of the original episode. We again deal with Sherman's planet. This time the Enterprise is guiding two robot ships which are trying to deliver new wheat there. This time called Quinto-Triticale. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Simply because Quinto is more than Quadro. On the original show they had Quadro-Triticale. Of course they bump into Klingons, just like in the original episode, and the Klingon ship is commanded by Captain Koloff, just like in the original episode. The Klingons are attacking a small Federation vessel. Kirk demands an explanation, but the Klingons ignore him, so he interferes. That's when they experience a new Klingon weapon, which drains all power from the engines and the weapons. The Klingons destroy the small ship, but thankfully Scotty saves the pilot and the cargo. He of course grows a mustache between shots. That's kind of normal in this show. Kirk orders the robot ships to be smashed against the Klingon ship from both sides. The Klingons try to disable all three of the ships at the same time, but don't have enough power, so they choose to leave them alone for the time being. Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and this guy, who looks like David Gerrold himself looked in the 70s, go to the transport room just to find out that the guy who got chased was indeed Cyrano Jones, and his cargo are the Tribbles. But this time the Tribbles can't breathe. Jones has done some genetical engineering on them, so they should be now more safe, and the Klingons are apparently trying to get him because he did salt Tribbles on a Klingon planet. When asked how did he clean the K7 space station, which is where we've seen him for the last time, he says that he has obtained a Tribble predator, and he pulls his little guy out of his pocket. This little creature is called a glommer, and he is specializing in finding and eating Tribbles. A funny side note, originally the glommer should be huge, and he should eat various Enterprise crew members. I wonder why that was changed. Sounds like fun. Spock then says that they shouldn't be so careless because the Klingons are probably recharging their new weapon, and when it's fully charged again they will return, which is exactly what happens. The Enterprise has a huge problem. They had to beam the cargo from the damaged robot ship, so their corridors are full of grain. They still don't have full power, and they have to pull also the other robot ship, which means they are an easy target for the Klingons, which quickly attack them. During the attack, the containers open and the Tribbles start immediately to eat grain and grow bigger. Kirk calls Jones to the bridge, and we see immediately in this one shot basically all the problems with the filmation style of animation. Seriously, how could somebody watch this and think it's acceptable? These misaligned layers should definitely be caught soon enough for them to redo this shot. And that's not the only problem. I didn't mention things like ships flying backwards simply because listing every problem with the animation would mean this video would be at least an hour long, and I try to keep it below 15 minutes. Spock makes a joke that the Enterprise should throw Tribbles at the Klingon ship, since they have no other chance for self-defense. And Kirk actually does something similar. They beam the huge Tribbles to the Klingon ship. We then find out that Jones messed up the genetical manipulation, and the Tribbles do breed, but they just grow into a kind of a colony creature. McCoy cures the Tribbles, which they still have on board, but the Klingons don't. They just shoot them, and the huge creatures fall apart into several small creatures. Also, speaking about misaligned layers, this shot also deserves a special mention. So what did the Klingons actually want? They wanted the Glommer, which was their genetically engineered creature, and they have only this one prototype. So when they got him, they leave the Enterprise and Jones alone, but the Glommer is kind of useless since he is now much smaller than the Tribbles and is basically a huge coward. We then get another repeated joke when Kirk gets again bombarded by a huge amount of Tribbles, and then we get to see Kirk's rape face. Please never show that again. This episode is a nice combination of the funny elements, the sci-fi elements, and some action. It's a pity that David Gerrold wasn't allowed to do more episodes. He and Dorothy Fontana are two of my favorite TOS writers. This episode just works. The only complaints I have are the animation problems and my typical complaint, the rushed pacing. This episode would work much better as a normal 50 minutes long live action episode. So you will probably not be very surprised that I will give this episode 9 out of 10. This is the second episode of the animated series I can recommend to everybody. The first one being, of course, Yesteryear, an episode written by Dorothy Fontana. But as always, these are just my opinions. Feel free to write your opinions down in the comments section if you like these little video reviews. I do them every week, mostly on Friday, unless I have some quote-unquote real-life issues which need to be resolved first that week. In that case, I upload them on Saturday, but I do all sorts of different videos on my channel, and I plan to start a brand new video series in June, so feel free to watch any of my previous videos, maybe one of the playlists you should see on your screen right now. And if you like this one, hit that thumbs up button and come back next week when I'll ramble a bit about The Survivor. Thanks a lot for watching. See you next time. Bye.